Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
My dear friend Daryl Dickinson back in Ohio sent this to me. Please listen carefully. Bill Clinton was driving past the White House when he accidentally ran over the Obama's new puppy, Sonny, crushing it flat as a fritter. He climbed out of his Rolls Royce and sat down on the grass, totally distraught. He knew that Michelle would go ballistic. Then he noticed a lamp, half buried in the ground. He dug it up, brushed it off, and immediately a genie popped out. The genie said, "You have freed me from imprisonment. As a reward, I shall grant you one wish." "Well," said Bill, "I have all the material things I need, but let me show you this dead dog." They walked over to the remains of Sonny. "Do you think you could bring this dog back to life for me?" Bill asked. The genie looked at the remains and shook his head, and he said, "This critter's too far gone for even me to bring it back to life. Maybe there's something else you'd like." Bill thought for a minute, reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 photos. "I once knew this sweet young girl called Monica," said Bill, showing the genie the first photo. "But I'm actually married to this woman, Hillary." And he showed the genie the second photo. "You see, Hillary isn't beautiful in any way at all, so do you think you can make her look like Monica?" And the music went up, and the genie said, "I've studied the 2 photographs, and after all this thought," he said, "Yuck, let's have another look at the dog." Good morning. Here comes Kate Smith, and more music, and Gina, and everything. Good morning. Holy buckets, the music was really coming up quick on me this morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Also, we want to say thank you to some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley. And our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. Take that baton and hit that orchestra over the head, would you?
Actually, what happened is you talked a little bit longer than the timer.
Oh. Well, I hadn't hit the punchline yet.
That's what happened.
Well, go take another look at the dog. You didn't find that funny? I did. I thought it was hilarious. How is Miss Craft Beer? And she won the award standing in a mug of suds.
I am doing well this morning. It's a fine Tuesday. The sun is shining, but it's cold outside.
Yeah, we had many people call and talk about our off-the-cuff discussion regarding the foamy type beverage.
Oh, what? And they were not pleased?
No! I never had one dissenting voice.
Oh, good.
No, they were very cognizant that you absolutely possess a world of knowledge on what comes out of the spigot.
Well, when you work in said establishment for many years, you have a tendency to know the product.
Yeah, we are so late this morning because of the dead dog with Hillary and everything, but do we have a pledger?
We have Rotten On for the Pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers.
Oh, I'll hurry. I'll catch up. All right, here we go. Good morning, Rotten. The pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless you, my dear, dear friend. How are you this morning?
I'm rotten.
Okay, buddy. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your call.
Okay.
We've got to get right to the weather forecast, and I'm running late. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, all your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, all your Christmas decorations, everything. You better get in there. They've got home design products that are aisles apart, not miles apart, at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Again, look for the blue door. Here now is Michael Rogers' weather.
Sunny and cold, 38. I want to say 35. You might get 36. Got 37 yesterday, but that's your weather story for this week. Slight chance of rain and snow Wednesday going into Thursday. Come out of it on Thursday, and sunny and cold on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's it. It's just that simple. Sunny and cold, and it's still fall. It is not officially winter yet. Enjoy the weather. Show the weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to everybody by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Really nice people. Kyle and Whitney Cheney at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Yep, look for the blue door, 678-6945. Also want to remind you that Thursday is sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, 678-9411, the number to call for consignments. This is the sale that works for you. 10 a.m. every Thursday. Now, listen to me and mark this down. There will be a sale this Thursday. Yes, there will be on the 20th, but then the following week, Thanksgiving, okay? Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy, all of them working hard for you at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Sale day on Thursday. Absolutely. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Got a message from a gentleman I have not seen for at least 25 years. I did not even know he was still in the country. Ed Brown over to Gooding, Cowboy Church at the Gooding Fairgrounds, November 22nd. And that's going to be a Saturday, potluck at 5 p.m. Bring a dish to pass, cowboy poetry and music, and then the service at 6 p.m. with the minister, Justin Palmer. And if you've ever been to a Cowboy Church service, it is absolutely excellent. That's going to be at the Gooding County Fairgrounds on November 22nd. Don't forget, too, our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Oh, my goodness sakes, they can clean anything. All you have to do is just get in there and show whatever your problem is to Kevin and Cindy, and they'll take care of it right there at Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Now, stop in today and talk to them because they can restore a lot of items, too. They're absolutely excellent at that. Don't just throw them away. Talk to Kevin first. And that's Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 878-8900. Daryl's Cleaners, the best. And also, SafeLink Internet. I really am high on these folks because the service is really, really good. First month free plus free installation. How can you beat that? You can't. Why don't you give them a call right now at 677-8000. That number again, 677-8000. No contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data, SafeLink Internet. Tell them old Zeb's told you to call 677-8000. Gina, are you right there by your microphone?
I ran away.
No, don't do that, please, because
right?
Your home is here. I'm very critical of the Times News and the mistakes they make. Mm-hmm. And I find that many of the mistakes are absolutely just careless, non-professional newspaper mistakes, okay? A devastating story. And about the murder-suicide, you've heard about it in Twin Falls area.
Yes.
Okay. Well, with a story that is that prominent in the press, you would think that the Times News could at least get the names under the pictures right on the front page.
Oh, they so didn't, did they?
I'm really distraught that they can't proofread. I just don't understand why they can't proofread. They've got the young girl, the Brianna Cox, that was killed along with her mom, and then the suicide of the George Salinas. Mm-hmm. They got the pictures and the titles and the names mixed up.
Oh.
You know, this is a devastating story for the community. It's a devastating story for the youngsters that she went to school with.
Yes.
And it cheapens the professionalism of the story.
Yes, it does. Honestly, yes, it does. And unfortunately, you know, I do know the individuals that were involved. And, you know, it's kind of like, it's a disrespect. It's a disrespect to not only the family, it's a disrespect to the community that the people proofreading and actually putting out the paper don't have enough common courtesy to proofread what they're putting out.
I don't understand, and you and I have both been in the media for a long time. I've been in a lot longer than you, and it doesn't take that much effort to really put forth the effort to verify facts.
Well, not only that, with you know, a plethora of information available on the internet, you would think that they would be able to proofread and get it right.
And it seems like it's every day almost an occurrence, and I'm asking the Times News, please, to hire somebody that can look at, how can you put underneath a male's picture a girl's name? I mean, how can you be that inept?
No, well, you... Apparently somebody doesn't know how to read? That would be my guess.
I don't know. To me, it was a very hurtful thing because of the situation with the family and everything, and that's all I'm going to say. But clean up your act,
please.
Newspaper, please.
Yes.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Denny's Restaurant. Oh, goodness sakes. I'm telling you, they have worked so hard and have done so much for the community. They're located at 611 Overland in Burley, and it's the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Thomas and Terry, and they've got gift cards over there, and if you're having a birthday, just go in and say, it's my birthday, here's my ID. You can get a free Grand Slam. Oh, my goodness. And the new location over on Pole Line in Twin Falls, I went by there yesterday. I had to run way out to the hospital, and holy buckets, I mean, there were a lot of people enjoying the food at Denny's Restaurants. Now, 611 Overland and Burley and on Pole Line in Twin Falls. Absolutely the best. You'll enjoy it. I know you will. And we also want to say thank you very much to our friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And I'm very, very high on all of those good folks because if it's chilly outside and then it's also chilly inside, that means you weren't listening. I told you that you'd better get your furnace all serviced and ready to go. And I mentioned to you that they've got the best in air filters for your furnace. And so, therefore, all you have to do is just stop into Ramsey Heating and Electric and your furnace is going to purr like a kitten. So if you didn't do that and your little toesies hit the linoleum floor this morning and they were really cold, I told you. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. This story is really troublesome to me, and I want your opinion on it, but I don't know how there can be any winners, any losers, anybody that's going to get out of this mess looking and sounding good. And caller, just a minute, please have patience. The mess that's occurring right now in Ferguson, Missouri and the surrounding area of St. Louis, and the governor has called out the National Guard, and they're on alert in this area due to the fact that the grand jury is going to come out with their findings on that Michael Brown shooting. This whole thing, and I did talk to some people that live back there. I know a lot of people. I used to do some rodeos back in that area, and I called some folks, and they are very concerned that this is going to erupt in a total violent situation. And, just to be very blunt, the blacks are out looking for vengeance. And somehow this situation has got to be calmed down. It's got to be calmed down. Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a family person, whatever the situation is, this has got to be calmed down because there's an incitement of riots going on. And I put the blame on the Al Sharptons of the world, and there are, unfortunately, too many of them. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
You know, the Communist Party is involved in this now. They're very well organized, and these are not black people or white people, and they just come to stir things up.
Keith, right now, the volatility in that area is extreme. I know people that have said businesses have been closed for days, boarded up. Many of the business owners are looking for another location to move to. They're not even going to bother to reopen their business there. And all of this stems from what the grand jury is going to come out with, either an indictment against the police officer or not. And you know what, Keith? Neither side is going to win anything.
No, not at all. It's this thing here. I would hate to make the judgment on this. I pretty well know what the outcome's going to be, and I think anybody with any common sense knows too.
Well, let's just stop right there. I don't go into suppositions, and I try to base it all on fact, but here are the facts. The grand jury has done an extensive study on Michael Brown, and the facts are that this young man was a bully. This young man was huge for his age, in exceeding of over 300 pounds, and this young man had been in trouble before. And now that they have started to look at some of the facts as to what happened in the squad car, what happened with Michael Brown allegedly trying to get his pistol away from the officer, there are so many extenuating circumstances. I pity, and I mean this, any member of that grand jury.
You know, the thing of it is, lurking in the background is Obama. And he looks forward to the day when he can impose martial law.
You know, Keith, what you just said there is not only very scary, but it's also looming on the horizon of the inciting of these people into an uproarious situation that cannot be quelled or stopped by National Guard or anything else. I don't know if you've ever been in the St. Louis area, but it could turn into, and I'm saying this with bated breath here a little bit this morning, but it could turn into Watts, California, revisited and a larger problem.
Absolutely, and when we talk about this martial law, which a lot of people don't, it's just a word to them, just martial law, you know. Mm-hmm. They don't understand the ramifications of it.
Yeah.
This is really, really serious business, and if we don't, I'm glad I don't have to make a decision on anything on this situation.
Well, and the situation is so volatile right now that my heart really, and Deanna and I talked about this, my heart goes out to the police officers, white and black, that are representing the various communities that might be affected, because they are nothing more, if this thing erupts in violence, they're nothing more than targets. And that is a very scary situation. This, I hope and pray, and I mean this when I say the word pray, and I emphasize it, I pray that there is no escalation of violence.
You know, if this does erupt in violence and everything, then you're going to see this in Los Angeles once again, and probably New York, some of your very large cities, so they can keep bringing people in to feed the fire. Are you still there?
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was just thinking when you were talking about that. The city that scares me the most as to the volatility of blowing up, not only St. Louis and the surrounding area, but I'll give you another town, and then I got to do a commercial break. The city of Chicago. The city of Chicago is already a death zone on the south side, and all they need is another match thrown into the gasoline to really blow that place up.
And don't forget Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it could be a horrific mess.
Volatile, too.
Yep. Keith, thank you so much. Appreciate your call. Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
Don't forget Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. Sean, the manager, Mandy, the whole crew, everybody's getting ready for winter. And it's not even winter yet, and I'm cold in this studio. I got a long-sleeve T-shirt on. I got a heavy old Zeb at the Ranch sweatshirt on this morning. I'm all bundled up. Well, by golly, they got the gloves and the clothing and all the Ariat boots, and they got the heaters and the propane heaters and the propane and all the feed for your animals. And we're going to have a huge remote broadcast, fun Christmas broadcast on December 11th. Do not miss this, because it is going to be just an old-fashioned Christmas gathering. We're going to have carols being sung over there. It's just going to be ripping good fun. Come on by Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Really, really nice people. Hey, by the way, too, I want to remind you about Berry Equipment and Rental. Eli and Nick and the whole crew, they've got and assembled a great bunch of people to run 3 locations. They've got locations, of course, on Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And they've got all the Coyotes, and they got all the Bobcat loaders, and they've got all the Doosan, the big loaders and tractors. They got it all for you right over there at Berry Equipment and Rental. And if you're looking to buy equipment or lease equipment, they've got the equipment to get the job done and get it done right. And the professionals that can help you right there at Berry Equipment and Rental. Twin Falls, Jerome, and the new location on Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, as I choked to death here this morning. In a few minutes, I want to get into what's going on with the spin and the lying over the last 48 hours from this Obama administration. It's just unbelievable. Have you watched the newscast? Have you read the newspaper? Have you followed anything on Fox News or anything? Anybody? And seen how Obama and heard how Obama has distanced himself from Jonathan Gruber to the point where now, well, he was, I think he was in our meetings at one time or another, and, oh, yeah, he did a little work for us, but he was never one of the... Obama's just spinning this whole thing out of control. And Obamacare architect Jonathan Gruber convinced President Barack Obama to create the individual and employer mandates in the health care laws. He was the main cog in the wheel. And Obama is absolutely distancing himself from Jonathan Gruber and any knowledge of even hardly knowing the guy. I don't know about you, but this story is absolutely another nail in the coffin of a lying, cheating, scandalous, just totally un-American administration. Barack Hussein Obama. And to have all these other people fall in lockstep, Jonathan Gruber, I don't really remember him. There are tapes showing Obama and listening to his own words coming out of his mouth, saying how well he praised Jonathan Gruber. John Kerry praising Jonathan Gruber. Nancy Pelosi praising Jonathan Gruber for his work on the economy and also structuring Obamacare. And Harry Reid praising Jonathan Gruber. And now, all of a sudden this morning, they don't know him. They don't know him. Time for the Capital Press Ag Minute. And it's brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Oh, these are good folks. Helping those in need for the holidays. And they're looking for new or gently used coats, clothes, blankets, or toys for children ages 1 to 5. Deanne, shh. And don't forget, too, along with all the blankets, toys, and coats and clothes, they'll offer $10 more per ton for scrap iron and 5-cent bonus on aluminum. They're waiting to serve you. They're nice people at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Here now, the Capital Press Ag Minute.
The Capital Press Ag Minute is brought to you by OnlyAg.com.
Asia and South America continue to hold the most promise for growth in Pacific Northwest soft white wheat exports, an analyst says. Casey Chummery, market analyst with U.S. Wheat Associates in Arlington, Virginia, says growers will be rewarded for their patience. A growing middle class in China and elsewhere means more purchasing power and increased sales. 2 billion Asian consumers have joined the economic middle class in the past 20 years, she says, and 1.2 billion more are projected to reach that status by 2020. Soft white wheat accounts for 4 million to 6 million metric tons of the 29 million metric tons the U.S. exports annually, but a higher percentage of production is expected than other wheat classes.
To receive instant, exclusive, unlimited access to the West Agricultural News Source, register your account today at CapitalPress.com.
Don't forget, stop in Pacific Steel and Recycling. Wonderful people to work with at 320 West Main in Burley. Always out helping the community. Thank you, Pacific Steel and Recycling. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb.
Yes.
How are you this morning?
I'm great. What can I do for you?
Well, you was talking about Mr. Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I think?
What's that?
I think he's crazier than a rabid wolf.
Well, why? What's your opinion on that?
Well, all of this junk that he's doing and not doing.
Okay.
He's running scared.
I'll buy that. I agree.
And my opinion is, if our Congress and our Senate don't get off their butts and start doing something now, we are going to be in worse trouble than we've ever been in our lives.
Oh, there's no question that this man right now, in the 2 years, the 794 days that he still has in office, there can be a lot of very troublesome and insidious things done to the Constitution and this country. I agree with you.
This is a fact, and if they don't put a halter on him and tie him down, he is going to go ballistic on us.
You know, in all seriousness, what a good friend of mine said just a few moments ago on this program when Keith called in, you take a situation like what's going on in the St. Louis area and the possible in bringing in the National Guard to help quell the situation. They are one heartbeat away from a martial law situation that Obama would absolutely thrive on.
That's a fact. That is a fact. And if they don't hold that down, them people are going to, that city is in desperate trouble.
I agree. Sir, always appreciate your call. God bless you, and thank you very, very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, there are those, and I'll name one in particular, that have really done 180 degrees on Obama. And that person is Bill O'Reilly on Fox. Mark my words, those that watch and listen to him and what he says or doesn't say, 8-9 months ago, he was very apologetic and very copacetic to helping Obama always put the best foot forward on any situation. Well, we don't have all the facts in. Let's not criticize Obama on this until we know this, that, and the other. I know on Benghazi or the IRS scandal or the going after James Rosen. I mean, all the time, O'Reilly was always ready and willing to open the door and let Obama run out. But there's been a change. There's been a change. And now, even those that were fence sitters are starting to look at this man with a lot of trepidation and a lot of fear in their eyes as to what he could do. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Ramsey Heating and Electric offers rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Always through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb. We've got to get a hold of these senators. They've got to do something about this immigration. Simpson's always been pro-immigration. Mm-hmm. That's the way his vote's been. Of course, you know that.
Right.
And I wonder if he'll change.
You know, you're asking me a question about Mike Simpson that I can't answer because you know that Mike, A, did not call us at all during the elections. B, he has refused to apologize for a remark that I think he owes an apology to me and others. C, Mike has done some good work on some subjects, but on this immigration, he had better show that he's tough as nails. And D, I don't think he's going to do any of the above.
I don't either. But this is one of the most serious things this country has ever faced.
Well, Fred, it is. But, you know, when you take what the American public is most interested in, you're right. Immigration reform and immigration problems is one of the top ones. Nation security is another top one. What's going on with the economy is a top one. So what does this president spend most of his time on that trip over to the Middle East? Climate change. What in the heck is the matter with this man?
That's it. Well, that's been one of Kerry's pet peeves all along.
Yeah.
But I can't understand the Senate and the House. Of course, the Sims don't have a chance either until the first of the year.
Right.
But what's in there needs to fight it. I don't know. It worries the hell out of me.
Well, it does me too, Fred, and I'll stay on top of it, my dear friend. God bless you. I got to do a commercial break.
I can. You know that.
I realize that. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless. Thank you. You know, this immigration problem and the reform and Obama looking at the cameras and saying, I'll do it, I'll fix it, I'm going to use my executive power before the first of the year, basically telling Congress, stay away, I don't need you, I'm going to step over you. Oh, if the Republicans don't show their backbone and they don't show that they are thoroughly teed off, they're nothing more than lapdogs for the next 2 years. Happy Thanksgiving from Butte Irrigation, 116 South 600 West of Paul and on Kimberly Road. They've got two great locations. Your Zomatic dealer, Butte Irrigation. For all your irrigation needs, they will get you wet. And they got all the parts and service for all brands, too. And that's Butte Irrigation wishing you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. Along with a lovely lady, Vicki, at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South 600 West of Paul. And she says, thank you for all your business this year, and don't forget she's got gift certificates that you can give out for Christmas for next spring. I'm telling you, that's a great idea. She says, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, Vicky's Country Garden in Paul. Really nice lady. And another nice lady is Christine Pickup over at Mount Harrison Audiology, 1218 9th Street, Unit 2, across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. And make this Thanksgiving a season of where you can hear everybody when they gather around the table. Yes, have your hearing checked, and she can help at Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert, 312-0957. All of those great folks wishing you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this. The Jonathan Gruber, the reporter yesterday tried to catch up with him, as he was walking down the sidewalk, and they tried to ask him questions as to whether or not he might say anything or talk about the tapes, the many, many tapes they found with him espousing the fact that the American public was stupid and they could write Obamacare any way they wanted to and it would slide through. Well, he wouldn't talk to anybody. And I was going through all the notes that Deanne had dug up for me on the computer in regards to Gruber and Obama. And after Obama won the presidential election in November of 2008 for his first term, he added Jonathan Gruber to his transition team. Now, step forward these years till yesterday, when Obama denied that Gruber was a major player, and he denied that he basically hardly even knew the guy. I want to read this again. After Obama won the presidential election in November of 2008, he added Jonathan Gruber to his transition team. The New York Times later reported that Gruber became Mr. Mandate on the Obama healthcare reform team. He was on the team. He was Mr. Mandate. He was Mr. Know-All. He was Mr. Add-All to Obamacare. And the President of the United States looks at the many cameras yesterday. Well, I hardly knew him. He was just a bit player on Obama. This man is absolutely lying through his teeth. And Obamacare basically is so illegal. I'm going to underline those words and stay with them. So illegal that the Supreme Court should say it's so illegal and it should be bounced out of existence. Should be, but it won't be. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to hear from you. Don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox. What a great way to start your day over there. Monday through Friday, 6 to 6, they're open. Saturdays and Sundays, 6 to 2. Oh, great meals. And then the bakery, listen to this. Wedding cakes, cookie bars, homemade bread, delicious cinnamon rolls. And I didn't have one the last time I was over there, but I'm going to the next time I do go there. And it will be a scone. It was the scone, it was bigger than a basketball. Holy smokes, that looked good. Anyway, the food's great. People are really nice. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Okay? All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have to throw this out, please, for people like John Alexander at the Times News, a big advocate of climate change, and many others locally that think that we're all burning up. Record freezing temperatures, record snow falling earlier than ever anticipated this fall. And if you live in Buffalo, New York, and you go outside your door, that may be quite a challenge. Because on the ground in Buffalo, New York and surrounding area, they have over 3 feet of snow, and it's snowing 5 inches per hour. Oh, this global warming. We are burning up. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. Want to remind you again, the Golden Heritage Senior Center is going to have the first annual Pilgrim's Pride Thanksgiving dinner this Thursday night. The other media got it wrong. This Thursday night, November 20th, starting at 5 o'clock and going till whenever. It's only $5 a ticket. Bring the whole family. We got kids' games. We got door prizes. Oh, we got door prizes. All kinds of fun things. So don't forget it. Golden Heritage Senior Center this Thursday starting at 5 p.m. Going to be a lot of fun. By the way, I'm going to get Gina involved in this right after the weather and look at it from the ladies' perspective on shopping. So stand by just a minute. Right now it's time for the weather. And it's brought to you by Mad River Laser. Holy buckets. They've got all the winter hoodies in stock, and they got all the buck knives, and they're on sale, 10% off. And if you mention my name, you get free engraving. Yep. Oh, the buck knives are good knives. All the Carhartt jackets, wooden business cards. I gotta tell you, I had her make me some wooden business cards. They are so nice, and nobody's gonna throw them away. I'll tell you what, Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop over and see her today. Right now it's time for Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is at the ranch. Well, I'm back home in Vegas. It's 41 degrees. I'm happy. And I don't mean to say that because you're like, duh, you're up there and it's cold, okay? I mean, I made a choice. I just made a choice. It is warm down here and it's cold up there. Speaking of 40s, that's a pretty good number for your daytime high today. Right now we're forecasting mid-30s, right around 36, 37. Yeah, I mean, you might get up to 40 today, but it's going to be sunny. Your weather action is going to be taking place on Wednesday with a slight chance of rain and snow, and then you'll come out of that on Thursday for sure. With some nicer weather. As far as the temperatures are concerned, not a lot to write home to mom about as you work your way toward the weekend. It's going to be a little bit chilly, but other than that, that's your weather for today. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael. Brought to everybody by Mad River Laser. Nicole and the rest of the crew at 502 East Street in Rupert. Really nice folks. Gina, I got to ask you a question. Are you ready there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you may take the other side of the story on this, and you may disagree with me. I guess I'm an old-fashioned, kind of an old fuddy-duddy, but I believe in families being together on family occasions. And when I look, and this is a talk show, an opinion show, and if somebody gets mad and says, well, don't talk about it, you might hurt our business, I got to be objective and say I can't worry about you because I've got to state an opinion on a question that's bothering a lot of people.
Okay.
Why do businesses have to have so much greed and so much grab for the almighty dollar that they have to be open all the way through Thanksgiving, and a lot of their employees are not even going to get a chance to sit down and say grace over the turkey with the other family members. I was listening to a story on television yesterday that just really saddened me, that many stores are expanding their hours to where they're like open 40 straight hours and there's no family time and they're extending the hours. Why? I just don't see that we have to go that way.
Okay, do you want me to give you the business model reason, or
No.
do you want me to give you the... okay, so basically here it is.
I want the feelings. I want the feelings of you as a mom and a housewife, and the objectivity as to sitting around a table on Thanksgiving. Well, where's Aunt Martha? She's working. Where's Uncle Fred? Well, he's working. That bothers me.
Well, I've had to work on many different holidays.
Yep.
I get the business model aspect of it. Trust me, I really do. However, understand the family model, and we want to be home with our families for Thanksgiving. We want to be home with our families for Christmas Day, New Year's Day, things like that. So do I think that stores should allow their employees to be home with their families on those special days? Absolutely so. For those people that don't want to, okay, you can volunteer to work.
Yeah.
But, give respect to the people who do have families. And, give them the option to take the day off, and give, the people who do not have families or are not going to go home for the holidays, give them the option to work. You can make it copacetic for both sides.
Well, the thing I'm looking at, and I think you'll agree with this, there are needed services on holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yes. The media is a needed service. Mm-hmm. The running possibly a filling station so that the homeward and outward bound tourists and travelers can have access to petroleum products to go to their destination. That is a needed service. But when you start talking about opening up a business and making sure it runs 24/7 just for the greed factor of having, prior to Black Friday, all these sale hours, I'm looking at this saying, something, sometimes there's more valuable items in this world than ringing up the cash register.
Right, but when you're a business and you're trying to make that almighty dollar, the sales season, the business, or this time of the year is the one year where they can actually make their profits. so it'll carry them through the rest of the year.
Rupert and beyond.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know. Hold on a second.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, my timers are all off. Somebody's been messing with my timers.
Well, I know you, and they won't mess with them again.
No. But basically, I mean, I can understand both sides. However, I'm with you, and I think that employers should allow their, employees to be off for special family time. Close the doors for a couple of hours.
You know what?
Close the doors for a couple of hours so they can go and have dinner, and then, if you have employees that still want to come back to work and make time and a half or double time, go for it.
Yeah, I think what you said is the best way to sum it up, but I think it's going to take some management skills by employers to say, okay, Martha, you want to go home and spend maybe 4 or 5 hours with your family? Good, we'll work around this. But they've got to work with the people. And just making an open demand that instead of an 8-hour shift, you'll work an 11-hour shift, and we're going to cover this, that. Boy, not on Thanksgiving or Christmas. No. I cannot go along with that.
Yeah, I do agree with you with that, but then I do also understand the business model aspect of that as well.
All right, calls are welcome. What do you think about that? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a call. While I'm waiting for your calls, and I know you're scurrying to the phone to punch in the number, I'll be with you in just a minute. I want to remind everybody about safe winter driving with your traction tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. They've got all the tires, all the traction tires. They've got many are pinned for studs, and of course they've got the very best in tire chains. I mean, really, they've got everything there to help ensure that you're going to get through all the snow, the ice, the muck, everything. And all 7 locations very, very readily and available to serve you. Yes, with the best in brake service also, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. It's been cold, and it's been hard on your battery, and you may need a new one. So stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear that Charles Manson has turned 80 years of age in prison? And if you don't remember the name Charles Manson, an absolute horror story. Back in 1969, he was the mastermind of 7 very bloody murders, and Sharon Tate, the actress, involved, etc., with the murders. Not with the murders, but she was one of the murdered individuals. He turns 80 in prison, and he's getting married to a 26-year-old girl. You can't make this stuff up. He's 54 years younger than she is, or older than she is, pardon me. And she took a knife and she cut a insignia similar to his in her forehead as a sign of love and affection and caring for her husband. This is so sick and so perverted. And according to what I've heard, they will never really be together at any time at all on any visitations or anything. There are those that are followers. There are those that all of a sudden, if something like this comes up with a creep and a very villainous personality like Charles Manson, they will try to say, oh, well, I was married to Charles Manson, nothing more as thrill seekers and publicity seekers. But a girl 26 years old, basically carving a big insignia in her forehead like his that'll stay with her for the rest of her life. And what is there to brag about? Let me ask, what is there to brag about saying that she was married to Charles Manson? Oh, what a detestable story. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another item in the news, and this one really got to me. I don't know why this picture bothered me as bad as it did, but it is a picture that's in this morning's newspaper. And I think it's the solemnness of the picture and the ending of these people in the picture that you see some of the absolute pathetic, very dangerous, villainous Islamic State group militants marching Syrian soldiers bent over at the waist, and you just see 1, 2, 3, 4, they just go on. There must be 20 or 30 in this line. And they're marching to a pit so that these ISIS members can behead them. This picture is just absolutely one of the most gut-wrenching pictures that I've ever seen. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb, and I'm going to keep it short. You know, on that Marion, the Manson guy, it depends on how sick and how retarded your brain is.
I can't even imagine. I said I can't even imagine, Jerry, how sick a young girl has to be to do something like that.
Well, she has to be a total different mindset to 99% of the people in the world.
I agree. Well,
I'll get out of your way. I know you're at the end of the hour.
I am, my friend. God bless you. And may I be the first to witness this on my radio program along with some of our businesses. Happy Thanksgiving, Jerry Boss.
Well, happy Turkey Day to you, and Thanksgiving, and Merry Christmas.
All right.
And Happy New Year.
There you go. Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate it. God bless you, man. Thanks. Coming up next hour, we've got Corwin Lewis with Parkview Care Center, and then at 9:30, we've got Todd Gaziano with the Pacific Legal Foundation. Dr. History at 10:06, Tom Munns talking about the not-so-fair trade bills that are looming. We got a lot of things cooking. Zeb at the Ranch, don't go away. I'll see you back here in 6 minutes. Out your garage or your basement or whatever it might be, get a hold of them. They've got them in various sizes. Fill them up, they'll come get them. Sounds like rawhide. Hit them up and move them out. Well, I'll tell you what, they'll get it out of your way. Your garbage is not a problem. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Real quick, I also want to say thank you. Tonight, let me get this on the air here real fast. There is going to be a meeting tonight at CSI and room 277 of the Taylor Building, and it's all about free trade. It's never been about trading freely, and Tom Munns is going, no, and it's not Tom, it is Tom Munns. That's the gentleman's name that's going to be on our program at 10:30 this morning, talking about free trade, and this meeting tonight at 7 p.m., room 277 of the Taylor Building at CSI. Also want to acknowledge real quick our dear friend Joel Heward, the manager of Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, I can sit here, and it's not easy to talk about a funeral home, but you know what? They make it easy because it's a part of life. And it's a family place with flexible hours, and they're serving you always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Well, please give them a call. And when there's the passing of a loved one, they will be there to help you get everything taken care of. Joel Heward at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. Let's go to the phone line right now and say good morning to a gentleman that is the CEO of Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center, and I had a nice chat with him the last couple of days. Good morning, Mr. Corwin Lewis. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Zeb. Thank you. It's great to be on your program. How are you doing on a chilly day?
Well, I tell you what, I'm just sitting here in the studio with my old fat body all decked out with long sleeve sweatshirts and everything else. I'll tell you, it's a little chilly out there.
Yes, it is.
Listen, I was very much impressed to read about and study up a little bit about Parkview Rehabilitation Services receiving a 5-star rating. Let's start right from there, Corwin. What does that mean when a rehabilitation center gets a 5-star rating?
Yeah, we have been really proud to be able to receive this award. A 5-star rating is actually from the government, Medicare, created a rating system because a lot of times people don't know a whole lot about what to do when a loved one is in need of a skilled nursing facility, whether it's long-term care or short-term care, getting stronger, getting back home. They just know that they don't know anything about it until they actually need it. And so the government put this rating system together based on the visits that they do for our facility and the inspections they do, on our staffing levels, on the outcomes that we get, on the care that we give. And so when we learned that we had the 5-star, which is the highest rating that they give out in the country, we were elated. And it was a testament to all the hard work that a lot of our staff members and great people here at Parkview do every single day to make people have an outstanding and an exceptional experience while they're in our care.
Let me ask you this, Corwin. We're all hopefully going to live to a ripe old age. We're all hopefully going to be in fairly decent health, but it doesn't always work that way. What are the patient standards that you are most directly concerned with? I mean, who really goes to Parkview?
Yeah, so we have kind of two different clientele. One would be someone who goes to the hospital and has some sort of illness, whether they get weak from, let's say, pneumonia, or they have a hip replacement after surgery, or a knee replacement. We have some excellent orthopedic surgeons here in the area. And they just can't get back home safely. They just need a little bit more rehab and getting stronger. Those people would come and stay with us for a few days, up to a couple of weeks, while our excellent therapists help them out and get them better. And so that's one side of it, and we have people that come and go on a regular basis for that. And then we also have our long-term care people, folks who make this their home and stay with us and are loved and cared by our wonderful staff members. And we don't want people to think of it like I think sometimes when I was growing up, of the rest home or the convalescent home. This is a place where people thrive. This is a place where people have great activities, where we definitely do some bingo, which is a favorite, but you may come here and see them doing an exercise class or on an outing to a cultural event, or using some of the technology that we have here. There's a large spectrum of individuals who do come here, but all receive great care and are cared for by our wonderful staff.
Corwin, let me ask you this. Let's back up a little bit in time. We're going to get in our time machine right now and give us a little bit of the history, the inception of Parkview and how it got started and where it is today.
Yeah, so we used to be the old hospital here in Cassia County. This was the hospital, so it's kind of interesting. A lot of the employees who work here, they were born here, so they have some wonderful ties to the facility and are very near and dear to their heart. When the new hospital, Cassia Regional, was constructed in the late 90s, this was renovated to be a skilled nursing facility. So they changed up all the different departments that are normally in a hospital, such as the laboratory and surgical center and other things, into patient rooms, and did a wonderful job making it a nice place. We have a beautiful atrium and some other really neat features, large therapy gym that we're able to that we just have space because we are an old hospital, which is wonderful. And so the current owners changed hands in 2010. And every year we've gotten a little bit better as far as our outcomes, as far as our customer satisfaction surveys and our scores. And it's been a wonderful journey as we strive to get better and better every single day. We're not perfect by any means, but we're heading in the right direction, and we just appreciate the community support and help as they help us get better and better.
One of the things I was going to ask you about this morning is the staff. You know, I've maintained that any business can hang a shingle up and say, we're in business, come on in. But if it's not for the staff or the personnel, it's never going to succeed. How do you find good people to be at Parkview?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Especially in a place like a skilled nursing facility, there are easier ways to make a living, and the people here are not here for necessarily just a paycheck. Obviously, that's an important part of their job, but they're here because they love the residents, they love the people. And so when we go out and try to hire someone or find someone, we don't have a whole lot of turnover here, so which is great. But when we do, we're looking for someone who has that innate caring and love for for people and wants to help them out. One of our core values that we have here is called love one another. And we don't just care for people or like people, we love them. We care for them. They're a part of our family, and we see them that way. And so we always strive to find great people, and we're always looking for great people. And I've worked in quite a few nursing facilities, and this has by far the most caring, loving, loyal, outstanding staff that I've ever been around. I feel very blessed to be a part of it.
Let's be really blunt about situations. Now, over the last decade, it seems like there's been kind of a black mark on nursing homes at certain locations around the United States. I know Chicago, Illinois, Jacksonville, Florida, there's been some other cases. Why? Why is it that these places basically don't honor the tradition of taking care of folks like you, receiving a 5-star rating, and just basically shining off the elderly?
Yeah, and it really is too bad when some of these locations do give a black mark to the industry in general. I can't speak directly to those cases, but like I mentioned, I think it is a difficult position. It is a difficult job, and so when people sometimes lose their focus or lose why they're doing what they're doing, I think it can go downhill. And that's the thing that we're trying to do is make sure the training and the focus is on residents, that it's on the people that are living here. And I think some people, their only interaction with a nursing home, they think of, maybe the smells from a long time ago or some other things that the industry has changed a lot. When you have great people here, when you come here, we want people to feel that it is a positive thing. Our true mission is to change the way nursing homes are viewed in the country. We want people to have a positive experience when they come here and not think of maybe the black marks that are out there, but think of, wow, this is a great place, a place that I would love to have my mom or dad come here and receive the great care. And it really is too bad when you have some of those facilities lose their way to some degree.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the families, and I'm just making a supposition here because I don't really understand the procedure. I would imagine that maybe a son or a daughter and their spouse, they say, gee, we just can't take care of mom and or dad anymore, and they start literally shopping for the best in places for their mother and father to have the best kind of a lifestyle, and then they come to you and ask questions. Is that basically a scenario?
Yeah, and it happens all the time where people kind of get to that point, and it's hard. It's confusing. They don't know what they're looking for. They don't know what. A lot of times, you don't even know what questions to ask when it comes to the care they're going to receive or the types of activities there are. Sometimes there's questions on finances and insurances and how that all comes together. And so what we try to do, like I mentioned, the website the government put together has a lot of information that is helpful to people. But we understand that it's a lot easier talking to some person face-to-face as well. So we truly encourage people to stop by, take a look at the facility, talk to the other people that are here, have a meal with us, really get a feel for what the facility looks like and feels like and everything about it to understand, is this a place that I can entrust these people with my loved one? It's a really hard thing for people to do, and we're here to try to help be a resource to answer those questions the best we can.
Is it, and this just hit me, but when you sit down and talk to you and others, and then let's say that mom is sitting there at the meeting. I mean, she really has the voice of everything as to whether she wants to stay there or not. Do you open up the discussion more or less to the elderly senior citizen or to the children? Who really is in command of the situation there?
Yeah, and what we found is it really depends on the family dynamic when it goes, but the person who's coming here, it ultimately is their choice, right? And they're the ones that are going to be here, and they're the ones that are going to be experiencing it and living it and playing with us and being with us. And so we definitely want to get them involved. The more that we can get, so just a couple days ago we had an individual who was in that same situation. They're not sure what they're going to do. They're having a harder time taking care of their loved one. And so we encourage them to come and bring that potential resident here, let them see the facility and talk to people and have them get all their questions answered so that when they get here they don't feel like someone else is making choices for them, they're losing their independence, or we want them to thrive here and be happy with the choice that they're making. And like you said, it is difficult, but that it can be a positive experience for everyone involved.
When you have someone that is just basically a newcomer to Parkview and they're a new resident, so to speak, do you have like mental health counselors that will work with them? Because that's a big transition, leaving their home and coming to a new location.
Yeah, definitely. And we have a lot of great services. Not only do we have some of the most wonderful nursing staff that does a great job of making them feel welcome and assessing their needs and making an individualized care plan for them, whether it's their diet or their activities or the kind of social services. We do have a licensed social worker who is involved from the very beginning. We have a nurse practitioner psychiatrist who comes in on a regular basis to help them with that. We have a counselor that is here in our facility that is ready and willing to meet with the people that do have a struggle with the transition, or maybe it's not a struggle, but just need someone to talk to and open themselves up. So we have a lot of great healthcare professionals who weren't here before, and we've tried to find as many as we can to actually come to the facility so that people don't have to bundle up and go out in the cold and go to some of these appointments themselves, but they'll come to them.
All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about Corwin Lewis himself, Parkview. Why would you want to get into this field of endeavor for your life's work? I commend you for it because we need more people like you, but why?
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't grow up thinking, I'd love to be a nursing home administrator. That wasn't something that was on even my radar. But when I was introduced to the industry, I was getting my master's degree, and had someone talk to me about it, and I did an internship with this company, and saw the good that is needed, the wonderful impact that I can make. And I think a lot of people who are in this industry talk about two paychecks. You have your compensation paycheck, but then you also get a second paycheck. Where when I went to one of these facilities and saw the smiles on the people's faces and the good that I could do, I just fell in love with it. I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I just thought this is something that not only is necessary and something that people need, but it's something that really spoke to me, and that I can work with people and I can, go and call bingo and sing to people and have a great time with the residents and just feel fulfilled in my own life and in my own work and for my family as well.
I see. So there you have it. You have a theatrical side of you because you've got a captivated audience.
That's right. They're not going anywhere, so I can make sure that I can get a laugh and a smile makes my day.
Corwin, I understand, too, from our telephone call last night when I called you, you must have a family of little ones.
Yeah, I've got 5 kids. Wonderful kids. They make some interesting days for sure, but from ages of 9 down to 5 months, and 3 boys and 2 girls, and they're a beautiful family. My wife does a great job, and we just feel blessed to be in this community. We've lived in a lot of different areas. I grew up in Oregon. I lived in California and Utah and Texas, and we feel very fortunate to have kind of happened upon the Mini-Cassia area and just the wonderful, kind people that are here.
Let me ask you this. For those listening in the audience right now this morning, and this interview may have piqued their interest, what are the best ways to find out more information about Parkview?
Yeah, so we usually encourage people to go to our website. We've got some great information on there, which is www.parkviewrehab.com. We would love for them to come in and take a tour and see our facility. They can give us a call at any time at 208-677-3073. And particularly right now, especially during kind of the holiday season, there's a lot of need. People who would love to have visitors and people who would love to have the community reach out. So even if you don't know someone who's here or at another skilled nursing facility, we always love people who come and do sing or perform, or even just to come and talk to people. It makes their day for our residents, and so we would love any outreach that people have for us.
Okay. I really have enjoyed having you on the program this morning, the CEO of Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center, Corwin Lewis, a very nice individual, and I wish you the best. Give us that telephone number for information one more time.
Yeah, it's 677-3073. And I appreciate it as well, Zeb. Thank you.
All right, Corwin. God bless you, and I mean that. And by the way, happy Thanksgiving.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Very nice man right there, the CEO of Parkview Rehabilitation and Care Center. And it's really nice to hear good things about a business right here locally. A 5-star rating for Parkview Rehabilitation. Really good. Really good. Okay, let's take a look. We got to pay some bills here real fast. I want to remind you, let's see, where in the world am I? Well, you're sitting in your studio, Zeb. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Oh, they've got all the Christmas decorations up. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And the best of carpet and flooring and kitchen construction and home decor. Oh, my! Whenever you need to make your house a home, you better stop in to Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Kyle and Whitney Cheney, wonderful people, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. The number 678-6945. Look for the blue door. Caller, I promise I'll be there in just a second. Don't go away. I've got to get these bills paid here real quick. Also want to remind everybody about Whipple's Book Plaza with Colonel Dale Whipple, my buddy, Colonel Dale at 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5:30, and huge holiday savings. Great gift ideas at Whipple's Book Plaza. Books and gifts and so much more. And they are also a proud sponsor of the Boy Scouts and the home of the Pioneer Hall of Fame. You're going to love going in there. I know you will. And that's Whipple's Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
And I asked all the people here within a mile radius of Highway 30 and 300 West to please be at the meeting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in room 206 at the old courthouse, so we can put a stop to this fiasco.
I know what you're talking about, and it is, of course, an imperative meeting that everybody show up and voice their concerns to the county commissioners, etc., for the new... It's not really a landfill. What they're doing is just having a garbage kind of a gathering point and then reload and take it to the dump, right?
Right, and that's right in the middle, or going to be in that old gravel pit. Oh, what happens when you put stuff on the gravel? It sinks into the water supply.
All right, and that meeting is going to be again tomorrow evening, Wednesday night, and give us the particulars one more time.
It's tomorrow night, November 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. at room 206, the old courthouse.
Well, I certainly appreciate your calling on that, Al. Appreciate it, and wish you the very best. And thank you for your diligence, along with Carlene and everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you for your help, and may the God bless, and happy Thanksgiving.
The very same right back at you. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's take a look now at some of our great sponsors that are wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving quickly, and they include Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Keith and the entire crew at Ramsey Heating and Electric, they are there helping you to have a wonderful holiday season. 57 years of warm winters and cool summers for all your electrical needs. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Along with Pickett Equipment Company. Hello, Steve Pickett, 976 East Main in Burley. Oh, I tell you what, the farmers had a great year, and some of the great equipment they design at Pickett Equipment, the one-step rod cutter, plus the Master Plus side pull combine. They know equipment. They know bean equipment, and they make the best. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving from Pickett Equipment Company in Burley. And Berry Equipment and Rental, 465 Addison Avenue West, Twin Falls, 2331 South Lincoln, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. All three locations of Berry Equipment and Rental wish you and yours a happy Thanksgiving. Okay. Oh, my, I got to turn the page. Hold on. I got a whole bunch of things I got to do here. And I want to remind you, too, that we had a call from a dear friend of mine, Ed Brown, over to Gooding. And doggone it, Eddie, how you doing? And Cowboy Church is going to be at the Gooding County Fairgrounds November 22nd. That is a Saturday with a potluck dinner at 5 p.m. and then bring a dish to pass. And then during that first hour while we're eating, they're going to have cowboy poetry and music. And then the church service starts at 6 o'clock with the minister, Justin Palmer of Idaho Falls. Cowboy Church, Gooding County Fairgrounds, November 22nd. Going to be a good event. Before we start with our next guest, I want to be sure and remind you of this, too. Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness sakes. They've got their big customer appreciation open house coming up this weekend on Friday and Saturday. Huge, that means really big, huge discounts, door prizes, food. Oh, come on in. The doors are open at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. I'm telling you, they got the snow machines. I'm telling you, they got all the ATVs. I'm telling you, they've got all the accessories. I'm telling you, they got a great service department. I'm telling you, you better get on over there. Customer Appreciation Days this weekend, Friday and Saturday, where the fun is sold. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. All right, let's go to the phone lines right now. Good heavens, my organizational skills have run amok. I lost something here. I can't imagine that. Can you, Gina? Don't answer that question, please. We're going to get on the phone line right now with a gentleman that is an attorney for the Pacific Legal Foundation, and I hope I say his name right. I'm going to try, and then he can correct me. Todd Gaziano. Is that right?
That's the way most of my family pronounces it. I prefer Gaziano with the T sound, but almost anything would do.
All right, now wait a minute. I'm going to put you on the spot here for a few minutes. Why, when your family has Gaziano, do you want a T in there saying Gaziano?
Well, my pronunciation, Gaziano, is the correct Italian pronunciation. Theirs is a more Americanized version they adopted when the family grandparents immigrated.
Oh, so now we're talking about a real Italian family that I think I'll invite myself to dinner, because when I was in college, my roommate was from an Italian family on Staten Island, New York, and we used to go back to New York and we used to celebrate, and I used to love Basta Bazool and all that. Are you a Basta Bazool lover?
Absolutely, and all sorts of things. My mother is a cookbook author, so we were raised with really great meals.
And you probably weigh, you Italians can eat all that fattening food, and you probably are so skinny you could take a bath in a shotgun barrel.
Well, I have to watch it. Not too bad, but my brothers and I have all... they exercise more than I do, so they're even in better shape.
Okay. Now, I hope you don't mind if I just call you Todd.
Absolutely not.
Todd, I am very, very concerned, as most people that live in the West and are cognizant of what's going on with the EPA, that we're going to be seeing many more devious ways to control our private property and our water. You take it from there.
Well, both the Corps of Engineers and EPA have been restricting more and more land and water, and both of those agencies have issued a breathtaking new proposed rule that would purport just to define the waters of the United States that are subject to Clean Water Act jurisdiction, but really is one of the greatest power grabs that any agency has ever attempted.
Really? Now, what and how? My first question to you is, Todd, where did the EPA get this assumed power? Where did they get these powers because they weren't appointed by Congress? Is this an illicit and illegal operation that, quite frankly, we shouldn't be paying any attention to, let alone money?
Well, we certainly need to pay attention to it, but it is illegal, and that's exactly why we should pay attention to it. The Pacific Legal Foundation filed comments to the agencies, both EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers, explaining why this would be both misreading of the Clean Water Act statute that they're purporting to use, and would exceed constitutional authority of any agency, even if Congress tried to give it this much power. And we've taken them to the Supreme Court and won on this very issue of these regulations on this very subject. We were the last one to take them to the Supreme Court and won. We will take them again. We're in the business of suing the government, and proudly so, to protect our individual liberties. But to answer one of your other questions, the Clean Water Act was passed in 1972, giving authority to regulate discharges into navigable waterways. These are streams that were actually used with barges and to transport people and goods in interstate commerce. But under these new rules, they purport to regulate any wet spot if the water will flow downhill and will eventually reach any stream that might be navigable. And that's almost anywhere in the country. There's very, very few dry areas of the country that EPA does not claim that it can regulate.
And Todd, where I live here in southern Idaho, and I'm not trying to be facetious when I say this, I could lay a hose down out by my roping arena and create a puddle, and quite frankly, with these run rampant laws that they're trying to enforce, they could come out and basically control that little puddle of water, couldn't they?
Well, not only could they control the puddle, they can tell you that if a puddle might form there part of the year, vernal pools, then they can control that. They've tried to control ditches in the desert because, once or twice a year, a little water may run down them, and then hundreds of miles downstream, they connect with a stream that might be navigable. So they claim that one of our clients we prevailed on was trying to clean out garbage from such a ditch in the desert, and they tried to stop that person. Their appetite for control is unbound.
How do they, and I'm again not trying to be facetious at all, Todd, but how do they, being the insidious EPA and all the groups that are offshoots of them, how do they find people like me? How did they find someone like Andy Johnson over at Fort Bridger, Wyoming, that dug a little farm pond for his kids to play in and for the livestock and for the wildlife to water themselves? He got all the state permits, and then the EPA came in and said they were going to fine him $75,000 a day to tear it down.
Well, some lawful Americans know there's potential liability, and they actually ask for a jurisdictional ruling. That's sometimes the wise move, but often entangles them in hundreds of thousands of dollars of costly, administrative action, and even more if they have to litigate. But sometimes a neighbor who doesn't want construction next to them will rat them out. We suspect that might have been the case in another case we took to the Supreme Court, Sackett versus EPA,
yes,
which we won, which was from Idaho, which we won 2 years ago. There, people trying to build their dream home, all of a sudden got an order they couldn't build, and I'm not sure we ever knew why, since there were houses all around them, but maybe a neighbor sicked them on them. But it's very arbitrary. Many people, at least this year, may be able to build their home. But if the EPA can claim this authority, then decades into the future, they can control more and more and more of the land in America.
Todd, how do we fight these people? I'm not, again, trying to just be pie in the sky. I'm asking a question. How do we fight? How can we beat them? How can we tell them no? And how can we cancel their funding? I mean, basically, how can we shut them down?
Well, I think on this particular rule, a lot of other organizations have filed comments that are similar to the Pacific Legal Foundation's comments, pointing out just how illegal, just how unconstitutional this rule is. The agency ought to take that into account. But I also think more importantly, there is a rising consciousness in Congress that this is improper. Senator Vitter, who's the current ranking Republican member of the Senate, has raised alarms about this particular rule. There are other members of Congress, and I hope if the agencies don't listen to them, that they would and should defund any effort to go final with this rule. And finally, listeners can support the Pacific Legal Foundation,
absolutely,
like us, who will sue to overturn it. I guarantee you that we will file a lawsuit if the agency doesn't listen to us or doesn't listen to Congress. Unfortunately, though, that could take a couple years to get back up to the Supreme Court.
You know, from its inception, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, Todd, but going back, I believe, to the Nixon administration, when the EPA was founded, I mean, who set the parameters? Who set the playbook? Who set the rule book? Who set the boundaries? Or have none ever been set for the EPA?
Well, the statutes that created EPA set the basic boundaries, but then presidents have, and their administrators who've headed EPA have, expanded those to the extent they can, either to the limits that the statutes allowed, or in many cases, well beyond the limits that the statutes allowed. I would give Congress a fair amount of blame, though, because a lot of the statutes that passed are very vague and gave very broad powers. So we need to prevent Congress from giving any more of those sort of open-ended, broad powers. But also, Congress should have restricted those authorities years ago, and I hope eventually Congress will do so. Another, terribly expansive statute that the agencies have taken, even beyond what's authorized is the Endangered Species Act. Mm-hmm. As your listeners and surely all kinds of tiny little critters have been invoked to lock up millions of acres of land, and hundreds of there's a little delta smelt
right
near the San Joaquin and Sacramento River Delta that has stopped half of the water that normally flows south of California from flowing, and it's just devastated the farmland, made people unemployed, made a drought much worse. This is craziness.
How can we, without a lot of money and 1,000 or maybe 1 million more people like yourself, how can we ever disrupt the EPA enough to make them back off? The situation in California was horrendous. The situation of Northern California, Southern Oregon was horrendous. The situation that we could face on our own private property could be and will be horrendous. What gives them, and how do they go about going to other people's private property and just writing them up on a ticket? I mean, they're almost like a Gestapo unit, are they not?
Well, I wouldn't use that term because it almost allows the other side to paint us with a broad brush. Those of us who are really concerned about individual liberty, but I do believe in a all of the above approach to trying to fight for our liberty. Mm-hmm. First, citizens should not find conservation easements. They don't know what implications they have for them. Sometimes federal agencies have kind of tricked landowners into giving up rights that they shouldn't. Secondly, through various organizations we're members of, we need to file comments when they publish rules like this that are illegal. And we need to rely on our members of Congress to oversee these agencies. In the short run, every year they write the appropriations for these agencies. Every year they can impose new conditions. They have hearings, appropriations hearings with these agency officials. They can ask a lot of tough questions. and then they can pass restrictions. But finally, I think there are various groups like the Pacific Legal Foundation that need to sue the government. At least, there's a lot of illegal conduct. We have many suits, and we have to choose the best ones. So I think support for that kind of strategic litigation that'll, have the most powerful effect is an important tool.
Todd, final thoughts here, but with this issue, with the EPA and basically the takings of private property and the water rights, etc., the American public, we're spread out so thin. I mean, I've been involved in agriculture for over 45 years, and you're so involved in your association meetings, you're so involved with your property, you're so involved with your water rights and everything else. I think a lot of times people and groups like the EPA are dependent upon the fact that the American public is just so strung out that they feel they can push anything through and win. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed part. But I think you're right that they're counting on Grubering us.
Right, there you go. Good word.
They're hoping that we will believe anything they say and that they can misrepresent the law. And as Gruber put it, we're just too stupid to fight back. But that's certainly not the case with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and I don't think that's the case with a lot of your listeners. So, I see a growing awareness of the problem too. So there's reason to hope for reform.
Absolutely, and a good man like you on the job. Now I'm going to say it the way he wants it said. Todd Gaziano of the Pacific Legal Foundation, a group and organization of lawyers that I absolutely highly recommend to get in touch with if there's a problem. Todd, thank you so much for being on the program. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll have you back.
Thanks very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Interesting about the EPA, and they want their jurisdiction so broad that it could lead to practically unlimited expansion on our private property. Scary, scary times. Okay, it's time for the weather, and the weather this hour is brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, and of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric with the Lennox gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. You and your family will always enjoy the comfort as my cell phone goes off and I can't possibly answer that call. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, open 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday with Lennox. And right now, here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. Well, I'm back home in Vegas. It's 41 degrees. I'm happy. And I don't mean to say that because you're up there and it's cold, okay? I mean, I made a choice. I just made a choice. It is warm down here and it's cold up there. Speaking of 40s, that's a pretty good number for your daytime high today. Right now we're forecasting mid-30s, right around 36, 37. Yeah, I mean, you might get up to 40 today, but it's going to be sunny. Your weather action is going to be taking place on Wednesday with a slight chance of rain and snow, and then you'll come out of that on Thursday for sure. With some nicer weather. As far as the temperatures are concerned, not a lot to write home to mom about as you work your way toward the weekend. It's going to be a little bit chilly, but other than that, that's your weather for the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, right through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Got some time free for about maybe 8 or 9 minutes? Give us a call. We'll talk about any subject matter that you wish at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, come on, give me a jingle. Fast, fast, fast. I want to remind you, too, about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley, and they've got all your recliners. I was talking to somebody the other day about recliners. I call them my geezer chair. Well, my geezer chair we purchased at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. It is a great big leather recliner, and it's just, I tried on, literally, a whole bunch of recliners at Lee's, and finally finally, all of a sudden, I sat in this one, and I sat back, and I went, yep, this is the one. This is the one. I don't care whatever happens to that geezer chair. It's going to stay with me for the rest of my life. I love that chair. And they've got all the different recliners right there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, to the point where if you're tall, they've got one that'll fit you. And if you're short, they've got some that'll fit you. And if you're skinny, they've got some that'll fit you. And if you're, they've got those that'll fit you too. And just an excellent selection of recliners at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, along with the sofa love sets and all the dining room sets for Thanksgiving. You better get in there and check them out. 459 Overland and Burley, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Okay? Get in there today. Holy cow! Gina, are you there by your microphone? Are you shocked about what's going on with Bill Cosby?
Honestly, I am, and I don't know if this is just a ploy to distract everybody. I have a hard time believing this out of Bill Cosby. I really do.
I mean, here was the guy that was a noted comedian back in the 60s and 70s, and of course had a very, very popular TV show with Robert Culp called I Spy, and he made a career, and then he went into the show called The Bill Cosby Show, and he was known as the nation's dad, and now all of a sudden I'm holding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different newspapers that are coming out and calling for Bill Cosby's head because of sexual misconduct charges.
Do you think that this is just the liberal media trying to give us a little shiny so we don't focus on anything else?
I don't know. And that's a fair question. As a journalist, both of us on both sides of this microphone, we don't know. But I will say this, that in 2006, Bill Cosby settled a civil suit over a similar alleged incident. So this is not the first time that he has bought a ticket to this rodeo.
I'm hoping, because I would like to believe, in my childhood that Bill Cosby was wholesome.
Yeah.
He was a Jello man. Hello.
Yeah.
And just with all of his everything that he's done to promote family and everything. Now, of course, I'm sure that he had some indiscretions in his past. We all have. However, I would like to believe in the positive of Bill Cosby. I don't want.
But when you get to a point, and I want to read this from the New York Post. Laura Italiano is the writer of this in the New York Post, and I'm only going to read the first 2 sentences, and this makes one pause and be concerned. The public implosion of Cosby has been nothing short of stunning. A decade-long slow-motion fusillade of mistresses and no fewer than 16 sexual assault accusers. Wow. I mean, wow. Here's a guy that wrote books on families.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that absolutely was known as America's dad. Here's a guy that even though he played Dr. Huxtable on that TV show and gave out a lot of great parental advice, people didn't disassociate him from the part, and they wrote books and letters and everything else to this man, praising him for his family atmosphere. 16 accusers? That's pretty hard to sweep under the rug.
That is pretty hard to sweep underneath the rug. I'm astounded. Honestly, to say that I'm nothing less than would be a lie. I'm completely astounded, almost to the point of speechless, because maybe it's just the innocence of my childhood that I don't want to believe that Bill Cosby could do this. However, he's human, just like everybody else, and so I guess the facts are going to be coming out.
Yeah, but here's something else to consider, Gina.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, when the African American community, and I will not use the hyphenated version, I'm just reading this part of it, but then I'm also inserting my own opinion. The black community in this country has had a fatherless community community. You know that.
Yes.
That's the problem, that the family per se is not readily available for a lot of children to grow up in a family home. Bill Cosby, if you'll remember 2 years ago, came out and was pointing fingers at the black community and really condemning them for not staying home and creating a family situation. Think of what this does to all the people that he criticized.
Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, really? Well, look at you, Mr. Fancy Pants. You know, you're out doing this, but you're criticizing us. So I can see the backlash is going to be coming.
Oh,
the backlash is going to be coming. Yeah. But like I said, I'm shocked and astounded. I just can't fathom Bill Cosby. Come on, Bill Cosby doing this. But, then again, he is human.
I know he is, but human versus 16 allegations, not good.
I kind of wonder how many are true and how many are false.
Yeah, but you have here a compilation of the Washington Post, the New York Post, the Columbia Journal-Review, the Boston Globe. I mean, we're not talking about just your small little local newspapers.
No, these are major newspapers, and so, wow, if they're calling him out onto the carpet, people are going to listen. Yeah.
We'll take a call, and then I'll wrap it up with a commercial. Good morning, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
Yeah, what was the name of that Negro that was going to run for president? Look how they raked him over the coals.
Which one?
Well, the last 999 guy.
Oh, you're talking about the pizza man, the man that made all of his money in the pizza business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why did you ask?
Well, because my mind went blank.
Well, thank you very much. My mind went blank, and I'll think of his name I know during the ABC News, and I'll yell it loudly, okay?
Okay.
All right, Al, God bless you. Appreciate it. When you think about life insurance, think about Cameron and Siemens. When you think about health insurance, same name, Cameron and Siemens. Retirement planning, employee benefits, Cameron and Siemens. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, always there to help you and very responsive to your needs, dedicated and devoted to serving others. And believe me, they've got an easy location to get into, Highway 24 in Rupert. And, of course, the number to set up an appointment, 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Al, I'm yelling at you. Herman Cain. It just hit me like a bolt from the blue. But anyway, allegations versus the facts, it's all going to come out sooner or later. Next hour, as you can hear Ruby, my wonderful little miniature Aussie and Corgi, barking in the background, and with good reason. People walk into the studio sometimes unannounced, and the dog has every right to protect me and my lovely wife. And of all people that just walked in and we needed protection, it was Dr. History. He's here saluting, of course, his fame and fortune as he got back from the Senior Olympics and finished third in basketball. Quite an achievement. Let's see what else have we got to tell you about here real quick. He's coming up next hour with Dr. History. And real quick, while we have a minute, I want to remind you, too, about the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. What's the goodies for today? Oh, crispy fish wraps with choice potato and super salad. You're going to love it. The menu, all the specials, the people, the environment, the atmosphere, everything great. At the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Heading for ABC News. I'll be back in 6. Oh, goodness sakes, here we are back in the saddle for another hour. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, and of course, all 7 locations. And also, we appreciate some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, call 734-6969. Also want to remind you, if you're feeling kind kind of punky and you're not coming back after a surgery or whatever, make sure you give a call to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and his very, very competent staff, Jordan and Jeff and Orlando and Emily and Kelly and Tia and Jared and the whole crew serving you and making sure that you get back to feeling like you with the best of sports medicine and all the exercises, the hydrotherapy pool, comprehensive services to make you feel better. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You call them today for an appointment, 678-1191. Oh, it's Tuesday, and that means from out of the west, riding a great big bay horse with his slicker on and his hat pulled down over his eyes, here he comes, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you? I'm doing great.
You look good.
It's a cold morning, but the sun's shining.
Man, I'll tell you what, this cold weather, I've had enough. Winter better end tomorrow.
I could handle that. That 41 degrees in Vegas sounded pretty good.
How did they, real quick question, how did they stand the cold and the standing in the snow with their leather boots and all that back in the old days? How?
You know, they didn't have Sorel boots.
Now, the Indians didn't run down and get a bunch of mucklucks that had fur in them either and buckle-ups and everything, did they?
But, you know, I think the Indians were better prepared for the winter than, say, the cavalry and some of the cowboys.
You had a story on that one time.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, the Indians, they knew how to handle the cold.
Oh, better than us.
Yes.
Okay. So what's cooking in your world?
Well, we're going to talk about, sometimes somebody famous and somebody not so famous.
Oh, you always come up with these guys I've never heard of.
This one you've heard of.
Okay.
And it's a she.
Oh.
Calamity Jane.
Calamity Jane.
Yes.
You know, I used to go with a girl in high school that could have been Calamity Jane.
We won't go down that road.
Nope, let's not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with a quote from Buffalo Bill Cody about Calamity Jane.
This ought to be good.
He said, though she did not do a man's share of the heavy work, she was gone in places where old frontiersmen were unwilling to trust themselves, and her courage and good fellowship made her popular with every man in the command.
Real? Okay. You're still going.
All righty, here we go. That was Buffalo Bill's quote. Okay, all right, so here we go. You know, among the many mourners who attended the legendary Wild Bill Hickok's funeral in 1876 was a sorrowful, rough-looking woman clad in buckskin and a weathered cowboy hat. Her name was Martha Jane Canary Burke, better known as Calamity Jane. She was as famous as the lawman gunfighter whose grave she was sobbing over and crying over. But the non-traditional lifestyle she lived earned her the reputation as a woman who always did as she pleased. And we'll get into that a bit. But she was an Army scout, a railroad worker, stagecoach driver, wagon freighter, Indian fighter, nurse, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, Zeb, sometimes a prostitute. And we'll talk about that a little more later.
There again, you have the ball, you run with it.
Okay. I hope I don't drop it.
Was there anything feminine about the lady at all?
You know, I've got a picture of her.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show that.
Hold that picture. Now, she is extreme. I guess the word would be, oh, what a plain-looking girl.
Plain. But I've got a note there, she's better looking than Madam Mustache.
I want to see that. Is Madam Mustache in that book, too?
I would have to
You have to find that at a break or something.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that. So, but anyway, Jane, Calamity Jane, could drink the average man under the table and cuss with the best of them. And for most of her adult life, she was devoted to one man, Bill Hickok.
She loved him.
She did.
Yeah.
She did. But we'll get into a little more detail on that, too.
Okay.
Well, Calamity Jane was born in Missouri in 1852. From an early age, she fought the idea that little girls should always dress like proper ladies and excel at domestic chores like cooking and sewing. Jane liked to run with the boys and roam the countryside on her horse. She was 12 years old when her family headed west, and she was excited about the promising adventure that lay ahead. Well, she fell in love with the wild country, and when she wasn't riding the range, she was holed up in a cow town watching the gamblers, the miners, the ranch hands, and the ladies of the evening, and go from saloons to dance halls. And little did she know that at the time how important these establishments would be in her future. Mm-hmm. Well, she was 13 years old when both her parents passed away. Her mother, Charlotte, died en route to the gold diggings in Montana. Her father, Robert, died a year later. Now, she was the oldest of 6 children. Calamity was left to care for the family, and in 1867 she moved the offspring, her siblings, to Fort Bridger, Wyoming. She kept her brothers and sisters fed by working as a laundress and by working as a prostitute at a local brothel. Mm-hmm. Now, in 1870, Jane left the hard life she'd been living and drifted across the Wyoming Territory, and according to her autobiography, she ended up in Fort Russell, Wyoming.
Fort Russell?
Fort Russell. I
don't know where Fort Russell is.
I'm not sure. But she signed on as a scout for General George Custer.
Okay.
And her skills as a tracker and hunter made her a natural for this position, and it was the first of many frontier jobs this independent woman would sign on to do.
Okay.
Now, Calamity Jane's employment aspirations were as unconventional as her manner of dress. She wore men's clothing, complete with long underwear and boots, and sported a pair of 6-shooters on her hips. Mm-hmm. So, her unusual style and ability to master jobs traditionally done by men made her a popular Western character and earned her the handle that became legend. Well, tales of her adventures found their way into dime novels published in the East and helped make her a household name across the country. Well, over her 50-plus years, she traveled from the Dakotas to Arizona and back again. In spite of her hard drinking and somewhat questionable ways, she was really...
What were those questions?
Well, entertainer, singer, dancer, those things.
Okay.
But, she was a compassionate soul.
Uh-huh.
And on more than one occasion, she helped care for ailing miners who were dying of smallpox.
Really?
So she was actually, again, one of these people that had a big heart.
Yeah.
Despite her rough outer appearance.
Mm-hmm.
But Jane kept company with various men from time to time and was even married once, but her heart really belonged to James Butler Hickok. They arrived in Deadwood, South Dakota in 1876 and were frequently seen together. Hickok maintained the pair were only friends. That's what he said. Mm-hmm. But Jane insisted they were more than that.
Yeah.
But whatever their relationship might have been, it's clear that Jane was dedicated to Wild Bill. And after he died, she grieved for months after he was killed.
I have a question for you real quick. Think about this. James Butler Hickok, right?
Yes.
Where did the terminology Bill come from?
That's a good question. I have no idea. James Butler.
I wish the audience could have seen the look on your face when I asked that question. It was just like, whoo.
Yeah, where did that come from? Let's see.
Yeah, where did Bill come from? If he was Wild Bill Hickok and he had a name James Butler Hickok, where did Bill come from?
I don't know.
Okay.
That'll be on my list of research questions.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Well, August 1st, 1902, 17 years after Hickok died, Calamity Jane passed away from pneumonia while staying at the Callaway Hotel in Terry, South Dakota. Mm-hmm. She was 51. Her body was returned to Deadwood, where the town undertaker outfitted her in a white cotton dress.
Really?
Before placing her in the cloth-lined coffin, and which, let me just go on here. Jane's funeral was one of the largest Deadwood had ever seen.
Really?
Mourners paraded past her casket, remembering with fondness Calamity's character, and as I mentioned, he put her in a white cotton dress. Well, one resident who felt the once feisty woman did not look natural placed a pair of 6-shooters in each of her hands while she was in the casket.
Uh-huh.
Well, the undertaker removed the weapons and chewed out everybody for disturbing the body, but his pleas went ignored, and many in attendance cut locks of her hair off to keep as souvenirs.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
Well, the man was finally forced to build a wire cage over the corpse in order to prevent further action.
Holy cow, this is getting gruesome.
Well, it is a little, They were putting guns, You would have thought he would have buried her maybe in her buckskin.
She was going to blow the heck out of the devil, wasn't she?
She was. Well, Calamity Jane's last request to be buried next to Wild Bill was honored.
It was?
Yeah. Before she was laid to rest beside the man she loved at the Mount Moriah Cemetery in Deadwood, a good friend of theirs delivered her eulogy. And anyway, 2 names are inscribed on the tombstone standing over Jane's grave. One read Calamity Jane, and the other Martha Jane Burke.
I see.
Now, have you ever been to Deadwood, Zeb?
I've been through there, and unfortunately, because of the shortness of the trip, I had to skedaddle right on through and didn't get a chance to stop in and see all the local legend.
Well, I was there several years ago, and I was able to go to the cemetery, and they've got it well marked where both of them are buried.
Yep.
Now, even though I've concluded with her death, I'm going to go back and hit a few highlights of her life.
Okay, first of all, I want to know where she got the name Calamity.
I think we're going to get to that.
Okay, well, you couldn't come up with Wild Bill.
I got Calamity.
Okay.
I think I got that covered.
All right.
So, Martha Jane, or Calamity, was involved in campaigns against the Indians. Now, here's what she said in her autobiography. She said, it was during this campaign in 1872-73 that I was christened Calamity Jane. It was on Goose Creek, Wyoming, where the town of Sheridan is now located. Captain Egan was in command of the post. We were ordered out to stop an uprising of the Indians, and were out for several days. We had numerous skirmishes during which 6 of the soldiers were killed and several severely wounded. When on returning to the post, we were ambushed about 1.5 miles from our destination. When fired upon, Captain Egan was shot. I was riding in advance, and on hearing the firing, turned in my saddle and saw the captain reeling in his saddle as though about to fall. I turned my horse and galloped back with all haste to his side and got there in time to catch him as he was falling. I lifted him onto my horse in front of me and succeeded in getting him safely to the fort. Captain Egan, on recovering, laughingly said, I name you Calamity Jane, the heroine of the plains. And she says, I have borne that name up to the present time. Right. Anyway, now, as most history stories go, there's a little questionable things about all the things that she said she did.
Okay.
For example, there was a Captain Jack Crawford who served under both Generals Wesley Merritt and George Crook.
Okay.
Now, he said, I never saw service in any capacity under either General Crook or General Miles. She never saw a lynching, never was in an Indian fight. She was simply a notorious character, but possessed a generous streak which made her popular. So, we got to figure, it may be that she exaggerated, or maybe she completely made up some of these stories. But even back then, not everyone accepted her version as true.
I see. Okay.
So, in fact, a popular belief is that she instead acquired the name as a result of her warnings to men that to offend her was to court calamity.
Oh.
Now, so it appears possible that Jane was not part of her name until the nickname was made up.
So she may have built her own reputation.
I believe that's probably what happened.
Okay.
But, again, with history, it gets a little foggy once in a while.
Yeah, just like Wild Jim.
Wild Jim Hickok. Yes.
It's a good thing they didn't go after his middle name.
Burke, yeah.
No, Butler.
Oh, Butler, yeah, that may not have worked.
Never mind.
Anyway, well, she was certainly was known by that nickname by 1876 because the arrival of the Hickok wagon train was reported in the Deadwood newspaper with the headline, Calamity Jane has arrived. Now, another unverified story in her autobiography, there's a pamphlet. And in this pamphlet, it says that in 1875, her detachment was ordered to the Bighorn River under General Crook. Now,
her detachment, when she was in the Army.
Right, as a
scout.
Yeah. So, and again, questionable, but we'll consider this. But anyway, she was...
Would the Army, the United States Army, have records of that?
You would think, but, with some of the...
Especially if it was a woman, for Pete's sakes.
And again, that's questionable whether that was ever written down.
I see.
I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, she was carrying some important dispatches. She swam the Platte River and traveled 90 miles at top speed while wet and cold to deliver them. Well, afterwards, she became very sick, and Calamity said that after recuperating for a few weeks, she rode to Fort Laramie, Wyoming, and later in July 1876, she joined a wagon train and headed north. Now, the second part of that story is true. She was at Fort Laramie in 1876 and did join a wagon train. That included Wild Bill Hickok.
I see.
And that's where she first met Wild Bill.
Wild Jim.
Wild Jim. So, contrary to her later claims, this is how it happened to come to Deadwood. Now, here's where things get a little foggy regarding Buffalo Bill, or Wild Bill, and her. Jane also claimed that following Hickok's death, that she went after Jack McCall, the guy who killed Wild Bill, with a meat cleaver, having left her guns at her residence in the excitement of the moment. However, she never actually confronted McCall.
Oh, really?
Didn't happen.
Just ran around Deadwood with a meat cleaver.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, following McCall's later execution for the crime, Jane continued living in the Deadwood area for some time.
What did she do?
I'm going to get to that, too.
I figured she did.
Okay. Following the execution, she continued living in Deadwood for some time, and at one point she helped save numerous passengers in an overland stagecoach by diverting several Indians who were in pursuit of the stagecoach.
Now, this is for real?
This is supposedly for real.
Okay.
The stagecoach driver, a guy by the name of John Slaughter, was killed during the pursuit, and Jane took over the reins and drove the stage onto its destination at Deadwood. So that leans a little bit towards a Hollywoodish type.
Kind of.
But, that's what she said.
Okay. Jane Russell type thing.
Well, maybe not quite Jane Russell, but...
Well, she played Calamity Jane in a couple of movies.
Did she? Okay. All right.
Okay.
I'll buy that.
Okay.
So, now in 1876 or 78, right in there, Jane nursed the victims of a smallpox epidemic that was in Deadwood.
She did a lot.
She did. She really
And we're
did.
coming for more.
Yes, and we're getting there. Okay, well, now in 1881, Jane bought a ranch west of Miles City, Montana, along the Yellowstone River, and she kept an inn, and she married a Texan guy by the name of Clinton Burke and moved to Boulder. Well, she again tried her luck in this business. She had a daughter, but she actually gave that daughter up to foster parents.
Oh, my goodness.
So, but in 1893, Calamity Jane started to appear in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show as a storyteller.
Really?
Not really as a participant.
Yeah.
So, but she participated in the 1901 Pan American Exposition. At that time, she was depressed. She was an alcoholic. Her addiction to liquor was evident even in her younger years. For example, one story, she rented a horse and buggy in Cheyenne to go for a mile or so joyride to Fort Russell and back, but she was so drunk that she passed right by her destination without noticing, and ended up about 90 miles away at Fort Laramie.
So that's 90 miles. Come on, quit picking at the poor girl.
Right, she was only going to go a mile. She went 90.
Yeah.
So 100.
She goofed.
She didn't have a GPS. So, well, now we get to the beginning of the 20th century. 1903, Jane returned to the Black Hills in 1903, and for the next few months, Jane earned her keep by cooking and doing laundry. In late July, Jane traveled by ore train to Terry, South Dakota, a small mining village near Deadwood.
How old was she then?
Right now, while staying at this hotel in 1903, this is where she died at the age of 51.
51?
Yeah, but really it was unusual for men, especially men, to live much past 50 to 55.
Yeah, that's
true. So guys like Jim Bridger that lived longer, that was quite unusual.
There wasn't a need for retirement centers, was there?
No, they didn't have any rest homes.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was reported that she'd been drinking heavily while on board the train and became very sick to her stomach. The train's conductor carried her off the train. A bartender secured a room for her at this Callaway hotel. A doctor was summoned, but she died almost immediately on Saturday, August 1st, 1903.
Really?
Now, let me get back to a little bit about Wild Bill.
Oh, yeah, Wild Jim, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Calamity Jane was buried, as I said, at Mount Moriah Cemetery, South Dakota, next to Wild Bill Hickok. Now, 4 of the men who planned her funeral, and I'm not going to mention their names, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Later stated that since Wild Bill Hickok had absolutely no use for Jane while he was alive, they decided to play a posthumous joke on Hickok by giving Calamity an eternal resting place by his side. So another account states, in compliance with Jane's dying request, the Society of Black Hills Pioneers took charge of her funeral and burial in Mount Moriah Cemetery beside Wild Bill. So not just old friends, but the morbidly curious and many who would not have acknowledged Calamity Jane when she was alive overflowed the First Methodist Church for the August 4th funeral services and followed the hearse up the steep winding road to Deadwood's Boot Hill, and there she rested in peace and to this day.
You're right on time. I mean, we're out of time. But now here's your homework assignment for next week. If the famous lawman or infamous lawman, if you don't mind, don't knock the furniture over.
Sorry about that.
Tell him to quit fidgeting. I can hear it.
You got to sit still. You got to sit real still.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all right. If his name was James Butler Hickok, where did Bill come from? So that's your homework assignment.
I'll see what I can find on that.
Okay.
Yes.
That's your homework assignment. And, Gina, we have a case here like our good friend Kelton Hatch. I'm going to have to get duct tape, and I'm going to have to duct tape both of his hands down to the table. He has to move 24/7, 365.
Get him a toy out of the toy box.
And get him a toy out of the toy box. I got some of those squeegee toys right there you can use. Okay, James Butler Hickok was called Wild Bill. That makes no sense to me. Calamity Jane, we're not sure where that nickname came from.
And I've actually heard another version of that I'm not going to go into.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, chicken.
Maybe after the show I'll tell you.
What are we going to discuss next week, besides Wild Bill being really Wild Jim?
Next week is Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right.
And I would like to do a little history about Thanksgiving.
But I'm not going to be on the air.
Oh, okay.
I'm taking the day off, man. It's cut the turkey day.
Yeah, we're not going to be on the air.
We're gone. We're adios. You want a historical story? We're out of here.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. It'll have to be the week after.
Because I got family coming in. Yeah, we'll do it the week after.
Real quick, tell us about all the countries that listen to this and how many people want to do us in.
We're just barely under 90,000 hits. Barely under. And 55 countries or so.
90,000?
Yeah. And believe it or not, most of those are coming out of China.
China?
Our students at the university.
If Obama can go over there, so can we.
And we are, and maybe having a better influence.
I don't know. Yeah, you said that, but I don't know if it's true or not. Listen,
we'll do our best.
God's blessings and happy Thanksgiving, and the very best to you and your family.
You too, Zeb. You have a good day.
God bless you. Thank you. I got to pay some bills here real quick. Don't forget at Snyder's Surplus. My goodness, these are wonderful people, and you know what? They've got something you should check into, Ken. They got a new shipment of thermal undies. They do over at Snyder's Surplus. And I just thought I'd pass that along to you. And also wool socks for your feet. So get the thermal undies in your socks and you can run along like that naked mountain man story that you had years ago. Anyway, a great selection of camo clothing, and they've got all kinds of furniture with couches, chairs, filing cabinets, and even tea tables. They've got everything right there at Snyder's Surplus, 112 South, 200 West, and that's right there near Rupert. Super people, great new business, new building, I should say. They're paying for this, and I'm stuttering. And they've got brand new merchandise and the same friendly service at Snyder's Surplus, 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. Whew, I got through it. Nice place. Great place. You stop over and see them today. Also, real quick, coming up next hour, we've got Tom Munns, and he's going to be talking about the not-so-free trade agreements that are trying to be imposed on this country. So don't go away. We'll be back in just about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I need to clarify something, and I absolutely made a bad mistake a few minutes ago. And I didn't mean to confuse the general public, because I was confused enough. When Ken and I were talking about Thanksgiving, no, I won't be here on Thanksgiving. No, he won't be, and Gina won't be. But this program's on Tuesday. So yes, he will be on the air, and so will I. There. I feel so much better. Anyway, let's not forget our sponsors of Cassia County School Days every Thursday at about 10:12 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. And we want to say thank you to A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Oh, the largest children's store in southern Idaho. Oh, my goodness. They've got all the toys, all the great clothes. And if you shop locally and say you heard old Zeb talking about it and recommending A Child's World, you can receive 25% off any item. Mention my name and save money. Oh, my. At A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. A great, great store with free gift wrapping and layaway. A Child's World. Also, Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. For your surgeries, please check with them and save money. 677-8888. 677-8888. Located right across from the hospital. Cataract and eye surgery, hand surgery, carpal tunnel surgery, and life-saving colonoscopies. Absolutely. Please call the Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Both of those businesses, A Child's World and Ambulatory Surgery Center, sponsors of Cassia County School Days. Okay, now, right at this moment, we are going to get on the phone line, and he's been waiting patiently, and we say good morning to Tom Munns. How are you, Tom?
Good morning. How are you?
I am fantastic. Give us a little background on old Tom Munns. Where are you from, my friend?
Oh, now you're asking for it.
Okay.
I'm from Caldwell. Well, I'm from Hawaii originally, but I've been in Idaho 25 years. I've been in Caldwell for the last about the last 20 years, just stirring it up.
Okay, well, that's all right, because it needs to be stirred up, and it needs a different recipe as far as I'm concerned. You are going to be talking tonight at the CSI, let me see, the Taylor Building, right? And room 277, and you're going to be talking about the not-so-free trade agreements that we're getting involved in. Okay, Tom, why are you against what's going on with the free trade agreements?
And I'm not sure if that was 277 or 227. Maybe I wrote it down wrong.
I got 277 on the sheet they sent me, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was that question?
The question is, on the free trade agreements, why are you so upset and mad about the way the free trade agreements are being set up?
Well, I just want to know if anybody's paying attention to what's going on in this country and asking what the heck is going on around here.
Okay.
You know, the trade issue is just another one of those nails in the coffin of American independence, one that the American people don't even know that's coming. So much is being done in secret that and the people, quite frankly, as I travel the state and communicate with people, just have a general sense of being completely overwhelmed. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is just one of many trade mergers that's going to be happening. And what's really funny is everybody's focusing on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and they're not even really looking at the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, which is TTIP. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, the more research I do, the more the numbers are ambiguous. But it's the idea to be able to include 11 to 13, from what I've heard, of the Pacific Rim nations. You know, I could name them, but the Pacific Rim nations, in order to be able to create what they call blocks and what we call Soviet blocks. Mm-hmm. Gorbachev, I think, was eloquently explained that the European Union was actually a European Soviet. And so what basically we're doing in the name of commerce, because everybody now we don't focus on freedom and liberty and checks and balances and a constitutional republic like most Americans should. We focus on economic indicators, somehow meaning that the wealth of the corporations means that America is actually in pretty good shape. When in reality, there's really quite something else going on.
Okay, now hold it right there.
So yesterday, and one of the ladies couldn't really quite grasp, and it's not to her, fault or whatever, but she says, well, if we have no tariffs and we have no duties and imposts, isn't that a good thing? And I said, well, that may be a good thing, but if it's something that's good, what are we looking at? Shouldn't we look at things a little bit deeper? And that's what I'm trying to do with these two trade mergers specifically.
Okay, now, Tom, hold on just a second. Let me ask some questions here. Let's try to keep this as simple as can be, because I am a simple cowboy that likes to just see the nuts and the bolts of the situation. Our trade agreements over the years, like with NAFTA and other trade agreements, have always been, in my opinion and my reading, to benefit basically the other guy, the other country, more so than us. It seems like we're always willing to say, oh, well, don't worry about good old U.S., we'll help you become stronger. And then they get stronger and they kick us in the teeth when it comes to free and fair trade agreements, and always the lessening of the United States and its value. Am I wrong?
You're eloquently so right on. You really are. I'm telling you, you really are. And I mean, that's all that is to it. And because of the fact that people, you know, and it isn't to be able to discredit anybody's intellect, but we've been led astray educationally for a long time. And I'm sure that you'd have no problem believing that, as I have. And when I woke up, it was like somebody beat me over the head with a baseball bat. And I've been just doing what I can ever since. And that's why my presentation tonight is not long on purpose. It's just to be able to give people the general overview. You know, I don't like going to places and listening to 4-hour, people, 4-hour things, having people talk about how great they are and all of the things they've done. It seems more politician-esque to me. And although I ran for office, I really don't like that. And so my presentation is going to be about 35 minutes, and the rest of it's going to be Q&A. And so I want people to know that this is not something that's just going to be so exhaustingly overwhelming, and it's going to take up all of your time. I plan on, get what you need out of it and go on. But you need to be able to understand what's going on behind your back.
Well, Tom, I'm in agriculture, and I really am incensed that I, as an American citizen and American producer, have to worry about the other guy. Whether it's somebody in Brazil or Argentina or wherever, I have to worry about him more so than I worry about my kids, my grandkids, my wife, and myself. That's ludicrous. We are the best. United States is the best at producing any item or commodity. We raise and produce the safest food. We have absolutely the best of everything, and we have to kowtow to lesser degrees on trade agreements that bring, and I'm going to use this word, garbage into this country.
That was a lot better word than I was going to use.
Okay. But we agree, right?
For you, I'll refrain from using it.
Okay.
It is about the other guy, but we have to remember that Obama, he's incredibly brilliant, while most people think that he's dumb. He says people will call him a liar, as I've been known to do, but what he also does is he's also a master manipulator. If we remember not too long ago, he said in one of his speeches, I remember because I swear I think I saw, never mind, but he said that no nation should be above another nation.
Yeah.
And when he said that, it was very profound for me, and that was before I knew anything economical or, having to do with trade mergers or anything else. But it's a global redistribution of wealth.
That's right.
And what could make more sense for the average American that really is just trying to get the bits and the pieces to be able to take some of those things that he said and to be able to inject it in some of the current events that we see today.
Amen.
As another side note, he said that, we need a civilian force just as strong as we need, our military. Now our cops have MRAPs. I mean, all it takes is taking a little time, breathing a little bit through your frustration, and to try to connect the dots to be able to see exactly what's going on. And what is going on today has been referred to in one of the articles I read today as, wait for it, it was amazing because I couldn't have thought of it myself. Anyway, they said it had something to do with it was a corporate coup over the democratic process of our constitutional republic.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got, when you look deep into this and you see the fact that 600 corporations are involved in this, and they're the only ones that get to see, if they're lucky to see it at all, get to see the 29 or 25 chapters of this thing, between 2 and 5 only that have to do with trade agreements. most people ask me, Tom, forget about all the complicated stuff. What does this mean to me?
There you go.
And I'm going to lay it out for you.
All right.
You don't have a Bill of Rights anymore. You don't have a constitutional republic anymore. Your Constitution has been destroyed. Your American history is being rewritten. It's thrown out the window. Your public school is being indoctrinated with this kind of globalist agenda while you're out there working your 9-to-5 job. Most corporations that are good friends of yours are working because they're specifically hired to be able to raise the bottom line. So everything that we know that we're supposed to be protecting for the future liberty of our children is being absolutely destroyed by the ignorance of the people. And I'm not saying that people are dumb. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I graduated in public school. I graduated being taught something other than what is. It's about time that Americans wake up and they realize that you are being assaulted. Every single thing that you do in your life is being absolutely destroyed.
That's right.
Through Agenda 21, through Common Core, through trade mergers, the continual involvement in the UN. You get involved with UNESCO. These trade mergers are finally one thing that it looks like the Democrats actually don't even like.
But
I even saw videos from Al Jazeera that from some of the Middle Eastern countries don't even like this because of the fact that they're creating a Eurasia bloc.
Well, Tom, and the thing is, and I think you'll agree with me on this, we have got so professional. We have got so, our verbiage and our writing of these trade agreements has been so advanced that the common, ordinary United States taxpayer and voter doesn't have a clue what they say and or are going to do, and that's the problem. If I've got a shipload of spuds and you as a foreign country have a shipload of honey and we can work out a free trade and a trade agreement with tariffs and everything that's going to benefit both sides, both countries, that is a good trade agreement. But when we start selling the company store down the drain, the United States of America, it's time to stop the trade.
Now, what we've got to do is we've got to do everything that we can to try to, and I appreciate you having me on today. I just hope that I'm on task. I'm so furious. But to be able to help the people in Idaho, I love Idaho. I love the people in Idaho. I travel the state trying to talk to people about what's happening. And what I find in so many towns is that they're too busy. I'm a nut job, I'm a whack job, I'm this, I'm that. The one thing that this is not one thing I ever want to be right on. And it's not one thing that I want to be able to turn around and say, I told you so.
Yeah.
I want to be able to take the opportunity that we have to be able to get in the minds of the people however we can do it and say, look, stop and look at this and pay attention to this.
Absolutely.
Our congressmen support this. Our governor supports this. Our local corporations, I've been talking to local corporations, cattle companies and whatnot, they're all in support of the TPP.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got to look a little farther, though. The TTIP is coming up after that, and that actually ties America, after 230 years of blood, sweat, and sacrifice, it ties us back in with not only England, but 28 member states of the entire European Union. A complete political and economic integration. Is that what we want?
Wouldn't you say, Tom, that the biggest problem today is it's not trade agreements, it's not under-the-table deals, it's the lack of respect for our Constitution and the value of the Constitution to keep us a sovereign nation?
Well, I'm on the radio here in the mornings quite often down here in Caldwell, and some people have kind of referred me as Constitution Tom, and it's not that I'm a constitutional expert. I just use the word because I'm trying to use an old totalitarian tactic that I believe that I read somewhere in a book that says that if you repeat something long enough, I think that was related to a lie, that it'll become the truth. So
right.
I thought, well, maybe if I can repeat the word Constitution enough, maybe people will start picking it up and start reading it.
Amen. Amen.
Not even reading it. We've got to start talking about it, and we've got to start understanding what it means. Because you know what? When I travel throughout this state, and I talk to every single county sheriff, which I've vowed to do, and every police chief to talk about the incremental militarization of America, and they don't even, and many of them have no idea of the proper rule of law. this is an absolute travesty because they are held in a position of public trust.
That's right.
And if they violate that public trust that most people don't understand, they're completely acting unlawful while they're acting in the name of enforcing the law.
Tom, I've got to break in, and I'm almost out of time. And I want to hit again that free trade, it's never been about trading freely. The meeting is tonight at 7 p.m. at the College of Southern Idaho in the Taylor Building, room 277. And Tom Munns is going to be the guest speaker, the man we're listening to right now. Tom, I really appreciate the fact that you've come on the air this morning, and I'd like you to come back. I'll keep your telephone number, and we'll have you back on in the future. How's that?
Anytime, it'd be a joy. Thank you so much.
And by the way, this meeting is free of charge. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay. Tom Munns, God bless you, and I hope you get a lot of people there tonight at CSI, room 277, and we'll call you in the next couple of weeks and get you back on. Thank you.
Yes, sir. God bless you, my friend.
All right, thank you. Very interesting man, Tom Munns, talking about what I would say, the lack of free trade agreements, and he's going to be discussing that tonight at CSI. Holy smokes, I got to get the weather in. The weather's brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Everything they sell is guaranteed, and everything they sell is delicious. They sell taste one bite at a time. If you haven't ordered your smoked ham or smoked turkey yet from Scarrows Meats, you better do it today. My goodness, time is on the wane, and these folks are good. Scarrows Meats in Jerome, 324-7657. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. Well, I'm back home in Vegas. It's 41 degrees. I'm happy. And I don't mean to say that because you're like, duh, you're up there and it's cold, okay? I mean, I made a choice. I just made a choice. It is warm down here and it's cold up there. Speaking of 40s, that's a pretty good number for your daytime high today. Right now they're forecasting mid-30s, right around 36, 37. Yeah, I mean, you might get up to 40 today, but it's going to be sunny. Your weather action is going to be taking place on Wednesday with a slight chance of rain and snow, and then you'll come out of that on Thursday for sure. With some nicer weather. As far as the temperatures are concerned, not a lot to write home to mom about as you work your way toward the weekend. It's going to be a little bit chilly, but other than that, that's your weather for the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that weather forecast. Brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are selling taste one bite at a time. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and I want to remind everybody, we'll take some more calls too. Golden Heritage Senior Center is presenting the first annual Pilgrim's Pride Thanksgiving dinner this Thursday evening. This week, Thursday, the 20th, from 5 p.m. till whenever. It's only $5 a ticket. Turkey and ham and all the trimmings, door prizes, raffles, all kinds of games. It's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody be there at the Golden Heritage Senior Center, with the proceeds going to help the Meals on Wheels this Thursday night at 5 p.m. Also, happy Thanksgiving wishes from our friends at Western Waste. Twin Falls and Jerome. Western Waste in Twin and Jerome wants to thank everybody for their support for a great year. They appreciate your business, and they wish you and yours happy Thanksgiving from Western Waste. Really nice people. 734-6969. Also, our friends at Dot Foods, 1541 West 27th Street in Burley. Dot Foods, absolutely a great place to work, and all their full-time drivers enjoy great pay, great benefits, and just absolutely enjoy working for Dot Foods. If you'd like to apply for a job at Dot Foods, call them at 678-6063, Dot Foods, or you can apply online, www.drive4dot.com. Thank you, Dot Foods. Wishing you and yours a happy Thanksgiving. And the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce at 1177 7th Street in Heyburn, located right on the beautiful Snake River. Oh, the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center is just a great hub of information, and also they've got a great gift shop there too, with a lot of unique gifts and specialty items. Stop in and see them today. Wonderful people helping you at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce over in Heyburn. Really nice folks. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I had a little bit of information. It's kind of an interesting story. my son used to haul scrap metal from the local, like Pacific and other places down to Nucor, which is north of Tremont, right there, just off the freeway as you're going to Salt Lake.
Right.
And he says, well, there's a steel plant down there. And I thought, well, you know how it is in America. We're not really building as much steel as we used to, because in India and China, that's where it's mostly being built. And, not necessarily as good as ours by any means, because I can tell you that there's some of this stuff that I use in my work that American-made steel would never bend, and with these winding bars on my garage doors, and this Chinese steel will bend, and so it's just not as pure. But I was reading this story about Nucor, and Nucor is a company out of the Midwest and Indiana, and they take all this recycled metal and melt it, and they melt it down at 3,000 plus degrees, and it literally gets rid of all the impurities, and it becomes pure. That because of natural gas and being so cheap and abundant, this Nucor, which is an American company that is competing on the world stage for this steel making, is something that is happening in America because of natural gas and the cheapness of it, that we are able to compete with the Chinese and the Indians.
All right, now, real fast. I've only got about 30 seconds left, Randy, real fast.
Well, that's all right. It was just, this Nucor down there is just a local company here, but it's all over America, and they're growing, and it's a positive, good thing because of cheap energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not going to say cheap, but I'm going to say economic costs of energy will enhance our daily lifestyles and all of our work, and America can flourish again. Randy, I appreciate that. I got to do a commercial and run, but call me on that tomorrow. I appreciate it. Thank you. Another reason why I'm so supportive of America and a better energy program. Everybody can flourish, and we can go back to being number one again.
Hey,
thanks, Randy. Yes, ma'am.
I had a caller call in. They wanted a little bit of clarification. Tom Munz was talking about something that he was doing at CSI.
Yeah.
Which one, at Twin Falls or in Berlin?
It's at CSI's main campus. The Taylor Building is only at the main campus.
Okay, so Taylor Building at the CSI campus.
CSI, Twin Falls, room 277.
All right, there you go, Dwayne.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Got to tell everybody real fast about our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Look out. We've got winter early, and you need all your traction tires. Well, they've got them. They've got all the traction tires. They got the tires pinned for studs. They got all your tire chains. Hey, they're ready for winter. Are you? You better stop in and check out all the batteries. They've got batteries for you to make sure that when you turn the key, you're going to go. And, of course, they've got the best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and, of course, the very best of brake service. Always, your service is absolutely par excellence right there at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They care about your safe winter driving. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run tomorrow morning. We've got the Fish and Game. We got Doug Johnson from Colorado. We've got all kinds of goodies. Zeb at the Ranch. And tune in. We'll ride for 3 hours at 8:06 to 11. The way things were, the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.